Hi, welcome to Design Strong. In this video today, we will focus on another important topic for system design, and that's load balancing. So before we start, one should understand that whenever we are trying to move upscale, there are two aspects of it. One is vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. In case if you are not aware about what is vertical scaling and what is horizontal scaling, I strongly suggest that you do so. We have already covered this topic in one of the videos that would be coming to you in the info section on the video, so utilize that. As you are aware that in most of the large scale systems, we scale in terms of horizontal scaling. That means whenever we require better computation, we tend to add more computing power in terms of a new pod or a new server. Now, have you ever wondered how do the external parties come to know about these new servers? Are they really required to know about these? No. Why? Because that's where the load balancer concept comes handy. So let's try to understand now what is a load balancer. Load balancer is the process of distributing network traffic across multiple servers. When we say across multiple servers, generally these are servers hosting the same application. This ensures that no single server bears too much of demand. That means, let's say if I have 3 servers, I will create an algorithm such that the traffic gets divided into 3 parts and gets segregated to all 3 of them instead of a single server which is bearing a lot of it. By spreading the work evenly, we improve the load balancing, and which means that whatever is the application which you are serving will have better responsiveness. This also increases the availability aspect in large scale systems, because in terms of scale we always will have multiple servers, and therein we will definitely need load balancing to divide our requests to these multiple servers. Hence, if I would have to say that modern applications cannot run without load balancer, I don't think this is something which should come as a surprise to you. Over a period of time, what we have done is we have added load balancing capacities based on software itself, which means that earlier load balancer used to be an hardware which used to be very costly, but then with time what we have done is we have introduced softwares which can act as a load balancer, can be deployed on an application server. So this also helps in additional capacity of application security, because let's say if I have a load balancer before my servers, I can handle all the security aspects at load balancer itself instead of me required to doing the same changes on all the pods, etc. So from user's perspective, it's like an end user will be sending requests to your server, let's say a cloud server. This will come to a load balancer which will send this request to one of the application servers which is hosting your application. In order to understand more about load balancers, we understand that load balancers is used to manage the flow of information between the server and an endpoint. Now these endpoints can be a PC, a laptop or a tablet, wherever your client application is being hosted. The servers on the other hand can be of two types. One is on-premise, or it can also be on, let's say, a cloud server such as AWS or Google Cloud Platform. These servers, of course, if it is, let's say, generally on-premise, these will be physical, whereas in case if it is on cloud, these will be virtualized servers. Now this load balancer helps us to move those requests between the servers, and it also helps us in moving the data efficiently, which means that we optimize the use of our application for delivery of the resources, and it also prevents our systems from getting overloaded at times. Load balancer conducts continuous health check, which means if I have 3 servers connected to a load balancer, there will be a heartbeat check which will be happening between the load balancer and our servers, just to ensure that the servers are able to handle the request. Let's say if load balancer sends a heartbeat request to the server, if server does not respond well within the time to it, that in that case load balancer assumes that the server is down or something is wrong with that server, and load balancer smartly will get to know that there should be no request which should be sent to this server. If necessary, like I said, load balancer will then remove those unhealthy servers from the pool or the cluster. There are smart load balancers as well. Generally in case of cloud, what will happen is whenever such conditions are happening, they will also trigger creation of a new server, which can be helpful in case any of the existing server is going down or if the demand is increasing. Like I said, traditionally load balancer used to be hardware appliance, but now more of it is into software. So that means all we are trying to say is that we have migrated away from hardware based load balancers to software based load balancers, so that we are able to have our applications host the servers, and of course this becomes an essential part of any large scale deployment in terms of a digital strategy. Next is algorithms, because load balancing would heavily rely on the algorithms on which they are working. The first and very common is least connection method. Least connection method means the next request will be sent to the server which is having the least number of active connections at this point of time. This is very helpful in situations where the traffic has been unevenly distributed. For instance, let's say if there were 3 requests and 3 servers that came, then 1, 2, 3, all the 3 servers are serving to 1 request, let's say. But let's say if server 1 was able to complete the request in 1 second while other 2 are still serving the request, the next request should go to server 1, because at this point of time load on server 1 is only 0. Next is least response time. So in this case, what happens is the traffic is directed towards the server which has fewest active connections and lowest average response time as well. Then the third strategy is a round robin, which means that it's simple that first request will go to server A, second to server 2, third to server 3, and then fourth again to server A, then so on and so forth in a round robin fashion. In this case, we generally are not able to optimize, but then for smaller applications this is perfectly fine. The fourth implementation, which is generally difficult but then it is very helpful in terms of strategy for load balancing, is IP hash. So any request which is coming in will have an IP associated from which the request has originated, and we will create a hash out of the IP to determine what is the server which will be responding to this request. So these are the four common load balancing algorithms that we have. Next, like I said, load balancers are of two types. One is a software based load balancer, second is a hardware based load balancer. Let's look at pros and cons of both software based load balancers and hardware based load balancers. So for software, the first pro is that they have flexibility to adjust in terms of changing needs. So for example, if there is an algorithm which is not working for you in a software based algorithm, it's very easy to change that algorithm. The next pro is ability to scale beyond initial capacity by adding more software instances. So for instance, let's say if your software based auto scale system for load balancer is working fine until 1 million requests, and let's say your system goes beyond 1 million, in that case all you need to do is just add another server which is having the load balancing application, and it typically works fine. It's like creating a load balancer cluster. In terms of cost, of course, the software will have lower cost because in terms of hardware, there are dedicated load balancers which will have the cost associated with them. Generally, softwares can run on any of the standard hardwares, which means the cost will be on the lower side. Next, the software-based load balancer also allows us to load balance on the cloud, which becomes a managed application. So for instance, if you have a load balancer on AWS, that is a managed load balancer. Why? Because in this case, you are relying on Elastic servers, which is managed by AWS. Cloud computing, or let's say the cloud providers these days, are also providing us with the flexibility of using a hybrid load balancer, which means that it's a combination of both, let's say in-house and hybrid hosted solutions. But in this case, what really happens is main load balancer is in-house and there is a backup which is cloud hosted. In terms of pros of hardware based load balancers, first pro is a fast throughput because these are dedicated processors which are only designed for load balancing. Second is increased security because it's a physical hardware, right? So that means only your organization can have access to the server in physical manner. Third is fixed cost because let's say if there is a hardware that you have purchased, it's only one-time cost that is associated, and of course electricity to require to run it. But in terms of a running cost, there will be nothing like we have in software. In terms of cons for a software, first is when we scale beyond our initial capacity, there can be some sort of a delay because configuration changes needs to be done. And then second con is that there will be an ongoing cost, which means that there will be a cost associated per hour or per day if generally it is on a cloud-based provider. In terms of hardware, there are so many cons when compared to software because one, it requires dedicated staff and expertise to configure and manage these. Second is inability to scale beyond the initial limit because if it is a hardware, it will have its own limit. In case if you want to increase the limit, you'll have to buy another hardware. And third is higher cost of purchase because let's say if it is a software based application load balancer, it's just that you are required to configure a software on existing hardware, whereas in terms of a hardware based load balancer, it's a purchase. So owning a hardware definitely requires better cost because this is dedicated hardware for load balancing. So that's it from my side on load balancer basics. I hope you like it. In case if you did, do not forget to press the like and subscribe button and say design strong.